So she's going to play some music.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll let her dance. We'll start.
Cool. Now, do I want me to look at the camera?
That's your.
So do you want me to look at the camera or do you want me to look at you?
What you want to do.
All right.
But that's the one that'll be on YouTube.
So do you have copyright issues with these songs? Like this Facebook? So I'm like, I know the song.
I did the way I don't because I got
We have a CCO license for our church. Put it in where?
somewhere on your presentation.
Oh, yeah, that's what we don't do. Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hmm.
Good evening. Welcome to Fireside Chat with Pastor Mike. I'm joined tonight by a special guest, Brother Nick Smith from River Lake Church here in Glasgow. And Nick, appreciate you coming out tonight.
Man, I appreciate it.
So glad to see you.
Yeah.
So we start this out pretty easy. I know it's a kind of intimidating as we was talking about off the air.
Yeah, all the
Sometimes
cameras, I'm not
all the
used to that,
cameras and
yeah.
lights. Oh yeah, it's a high tech operation here. You know that's a. But who is Nick Smith?
Yeah, it's funny you sent me the questions, and my first thought was it depends on who you ask, actually. But no, I'm a 43-year-old guy who married to the only woman I've ever dated. Met her in high school and just passionately in love with her. I love her so much I produced 5 kids, and so I like her a lot. And we got 5 kids from 18 to 6. All right, yeah, I forgot that one. Pastor of a local church. I'm a pretty boring guy, honestly. I don't watch a lot of TV, don't listen to a lot of music. I read, go to the gym, do my job. That's about it. I'm a pretty boring guy, actually.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Sometimes
Yeah.
boring's good. So.
It keeps me out of trouble most
Well, you
days.
got 5 kids.
Yeah,
you got plenty to keep you busy.
They keep me in trouble.
So, Nick, you are originally from Peoria, Illinois. We're talking about a little bit. So tell us about your journey. Tell us what brought Nick to Glasgow, Kentucky, and what brought Nick into the world of being a pastor.
Oh wow, those are 2 separate questions.
Two separate questions. Answer first one first.
Sure. So I gave my life to Christ. It's my earliest memory.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 6 years old, it's crazy what you remember. I don't remember anything before this, but I came into my parents' living room, just asking about heaven and hell. I don't remember the pastor preaching about it. This wasn't at a church, it was home. My parents answered my questions, and my very earliest memory in life is walking back in the bedroom. We had bunk beds as a kid, and crawled up in my bunk bed and just made that decision and said, God, I just want to spend the rest of my life following you. And so probably one of it's the coolest thing, and yet the worst testimony, because everybody else got great testimonies of where God's, like, I don't have a memory without God walking with me. And it's a blessing, and I've done a lot of dumb things. That's not like I was a goody two-shoe, but God's walked with me most of my life, and so I had a pretty normal childhood, and then everything changed in college. So I got to college, met a college pastor. I grew up in church. My mom was the worship leader, so I was like a church rat. I was in there Sunday morning, Sunday night, Monday night, for Monday school. I don't know if you ever were in Monday school, and, we had Wednesday nights and, practices, choir practices and stuff. And so that was kind of my childhood. And went to college, though, found a college pastor who was incredible and really taught me the Bible, really came alive. And I'm in ministry because I was at a leadership retreat where you're just about probably 25 of us. I don't think I've told you the story, actually.
Yeah.
And so
that's why we do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I know they don't know. I don't think I told you, actually. But we were about 25 of us at this college leadership retreat for Christians, and just spent the whole day just discussing the presence of God, really cool, great worship. You're on that, if you've had those kind of spiritual retreats, like that spiritual high, like you're in a great place. God's close and feels close. And you feel like you can do anything. I mean, you're just like, man, let's go. And I told my college pastor we were done. It was like 11 o'clock at night. And I asked him, I said, Charlie, that was our college pastor. I said, Charlie, I need some health food. Can we stop at McDonald's? And he didn't think that was funny, but he took me there anyway. And it was the craziest thing. So I walked in, and I got the same thing every time I went there. I get a number 2 with hamburgers and cheeseburgers, because I don't like cheese, and Dr. Pepper, no ice. That's my order. I walked in there to get ready to get my health food at 11 o'clock at night. And there was a woman, probably 15 feet from me, and she was wailing. Like, not crying, not weeping, wailing. I can't not hear the conversation. And I'm trying to order my food over here, and I'm hearing what she's going on over there. And she's a McDonald's employee. She's talking to another employee. And the short version of the story was that she just found out she's pregnant today. She told her boyfriend broke up with her, and her parents are gonna kick her out of the house.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's maybe 18. I'm bad with ages, but she's not very old. And I'm 21. I'm a 21-year-old white dude. She was a young African American woman. And I tell you, everything in me just wanted to go over there and hug her, tell her God loved her, tell her to be okay. And I just, but I knew I couldn't. I mean, I'm just a college student. I had nothing to offer. I had nothing. I mean, really, what am I gonna do? And so I felt, probably for one of the first times in my life, I felt powerless. And that doesn't sit well with me. Like, I'm a fixer, I'm a doer, I'm a builder. I'm like, hey, let's see the hill, take the hill. And I felt powerless, and it was so emotional for me, and I'm not emotional at all. And my heart's just breaking with this woman, and I'm so frustrated. And finally my order comes up, I grab my bag, and I go in the back seat of this van, this big 15-passenger van, and I put my bag down with my stuff, and I just tell God, if you let me, I'll spend the rest of my life helping people. Like, I never wanted to be in a position where I couldn't help people again. It's why, as a church right now, we try to do so much for the community. Like, we try to be very invested in the community, because if we're not in a position and we're not taken seriously in taking the gospel and the message and the hope and help, both prayer and provision to the community, we are failing on so many levels. And so, that was the moment. I didn't know at that moment I wanted to be a pastor. So I didn't have it all planned out. It wasn't like, okay, so we're going to go to seminary now, because my undergrad degree is computer science. I had a great job at the time, making really good money. But that was the moment. That was the moment that God really kind of spoke to me through those like providential relationships and providential moments of like, man, that broke me in a way that was so unique. And so that was kind of, people talk about their call to ministry, so to speak. Are you called? Are you not? I don't quite know what that means totally, but that was the moment that I made a decision to kind of give up my one career and realize, man, I just want to help people. And that's really it. Even as a pastor, like I tell people all the time, pastoring is what I do, but that's not really my mission. My mission is I just want to help people. And so I could quit. I'm not. Just so we're clear, I'm not. I love my church. Yeah, it's great. We're doing great. But I could, and I'd still figure out a way to help people. I'd still figure out a way to, our mission for our church is to help people, to make it easy for everyone to find and follow Jesus. And I'd figure out a way to take the gospel into people's world, because I believe that the gospel changes everything. Not just your Sunday mornings, not just, parts of your life, not just your 10% that you give. It should change everything. And when people really get the gospel, man, life's completely different. And so that's my passion. That's kind of my calling. And then the second question was, what got me here? Man, I bounced around everywhere. I was in Peoria for a while volunteering. I actually couldn't find a job. So so you get this kind of call to ministry, and so I was newly married with my wife, and we joke about this. I sent out 22 resumes, 22, and one of them was an unpaid internship. Okay, so I'm like 23, 22, somewhere around there, and every one of them was negative, and the worst one was it was the worst. It was the last one in Illinois. Was a church. It was an unpaid internship, and they didn't want me. And I remember looking at Lisa, going, "How bad do you have to be that they don't want your free help?" Like that. You know, that was just, it was crazy. And so, but I found a church in Michigan. Went to serve there as a youth pastor for several years. Amazing people up there. Went to Wichita, Kansas for a couple years. Was an associate pastor out there with a great church, and then came here. And so.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. Started River Lake is awesome.
Right. Wow, that's fantastic. Nick, I love your passion. I can remember when y'all first started River Lake, and you would come into our shop and talk to us and need stuff. And I can remember just seeing the fire in your eye then. And I still see that fire in your eye today. And that's been how long ago now?
So it's 8 years ago, 4 days ago. So our birthday's 4/20.
420. So there you go.
Yeah, it's an easy one to remember.
But one of the things that you just talked about that really hits home to me, and it's the same. We have the same feeling about it, and that's to help people.
Yeah.
Because there's no worse feeling than to not be able to do something for somebody.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, and I'm sure you've told them the same thing. At church, we have to help their physical needs before we can help their spiritual needs.
Yeah.
Because if you have somebody come into River Lake and they're hungry, they're not going to pay a bit no more attention to you until 12:30 or whenever it is that you decide to stop, and we get to the restaurant.
Sure.
Some of you other churches, it's 10:30 and y'all ready to go. But we've got to meet their physical needs. And that lady that day that you say broke you.
Yeah, it broke me.
It's rough. And I can't say as I've been in McDonald's and had it happen, but I've been in places that have had that same kind of feeling. And it's just like, wow, what can I do?
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing who you meet, when you meet them.
Yeah.
We just received a letter today from a former member of a church that we were at in Kansas, and an older lady just had some health issues. Martha had sent her a card the other day, and she wrote back and she said, you know, I can't go to church no more because I'm sick.
Sure.
And it's just, she was such a valuable asset. And it's hard to not just pick up our stuff and drive out there.
Sure.
And
fix it.
Fix it.
Yeah.
Why? And people have volunteered to take her, but you know, it's hard to see that. But we as pastors, we as Christians, not just pastors, it's everybody's job to help and have that same fire. And that's really encouraging to hear pastors talk about that. Yeah. Christians,
Sure.
I say pastors because I'm looking at one.
No,
but we, you know, we're no different to nobody else.
No. Oh gosh, no.
That's
no,
right.
No,
maybe let me speak for me. I'm worse than most people. A lot of people. There are very many people worse than me. Is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
But God doesn't care about that because His love is so great, and that's in you, and I can tell that. And so you came to Glasgow.
Yeah.
River Lake started in the bowling alley.
In a bowling alley.
Yeah, let's get real here. I mean, a place where I can remember as a kid, you're not supposed to go to those places.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to, that's
why we chose it.
That's why you chose it.
Absolutely.
There you go, absolutely. But, and I love hearing people tell me that I'm not supposed to go somewhere.
Sure.
You know, I'm by no means, listen people, I'm not comparing myself to Jesus here, but when somebody tells me I'm not supposed to go there, that's probably where I end up. Because that's what He did. Yeah. We started in a bowling alley with what? First week.
Oh, I think we had about 40 people.
40
so
people.
Actually, we were in a restaurant for the first few weeks.
Okay.
So we started an MJK feed meal.
Yes, absolutely.
For a couple weeks, 3-4 weeks, and we outgrew that. And then we went to Ralphie's, and we were in a side room for several weeks, building it out. And then we built out that little auditorium, if you want to call it that, side room, and we painted it and did everything you can. And it was incredible. It really was. Ralphie's was, I think, one of the things that makes River Lake so different is we're really focused on our DNA and our culture, and it's really important to us. And Ralphie's fit our culture. we said from day one, and I'm really passionate about this, like, I don't want to compete with other churches.
No, that's
I
right.
know so many other pastors. They are incredible people. I pray for them. I want to be a blessing to them. And so from day one, we recognized Glasgow didn't need another church. It needed a different kind of church. And so Ralphie's fit us so well because it was like the people that would not step foot in a very traditional church, well, they'll come to Ralphie's because they were there the night before. You know, they're just, you know, it wasn't a stretch for them. It was familiar for them, and vice versa. And so it really created a very clear line for us to kind of go after who we're trying to go after, which are people that are really broken, people that are de-churched, people that have been hurt by the church, and feel like, or people that just don't feel like they measure up. And so from a culture standpoint, from an environment standpoint, man, Ralphie's was just a blessing because, yeah, the people that, I probably shouldn't say this, but I will. The people that probably would have messed it up, the churchy people, would never step foot. And so we never attracted them. And it was wonderful. It was great.
8 years. That's been. It doesn't seem like it's been
I'm
that
telling you
long.
that, I know.
But to see you all go from that humble surrounding, Mildred and Betty, Betty had done pass, I think, by the time River Lake had started. My grandmother actually used to work in that restaurant,
Okay,
so yeah,
cool.
so I know those people well. But what a humble place to start. And you hear stories, unique stories about other businesses, and I know you're very into the business side of the stuff, but you hear so many businesses, and my favorite sport is NASCAR.
Okay.
NASCAR was started on a napkin
Sure.
at a restaurant,
Yeah.
so it's amazing what stuff we go. And NASCAR and church is totally different, but if we could get as excited about Jesus as we do about our sports teams or competing with other people, as being you were talking about, what a great time it would be.
Yeah.
So River Lake's 8 years old. Started at the feed mill, went to the bowling alley, and then all of a sudden you ended up at what I call the old drive-in.
Yeah.
Long before you were around here, that was a drive-in. And of course, the glass paving had it for a while, and now we drive by there and here's a church.
Yeah.
Tell me what it's been like transitioning from the bowling alley to your building now.
It's transitions the word because, again, we're pretty intentional about culture, and so overnight the culture changed. And so we went from a setup and tear down, and I've been very clear, and we still say this, I still say this at least a couple times a year, of like, if you don't want to serve, it's the wrong church for you. Like, we need your seat. We're at 3 services right now again, but when we were Ralphie's, I was like, we were at 3 services, we need your seat. Like, we don't have room for people that are playing Jesus. And I think at Ralphie's, everybody got that culture. Everybody's like, no, we got to. We get here at 6 o'clock in the morning, people set up and tore down. I think, man, I'm probably going to misquote this. I think we had almost 1,100 feet of pipe and drape we set up every single week and tore down. It's crazy.
Wow.
The systems that we had to have in place, the people, and then all of a sudden you could walk in and you go, lights come on, the sound system's there, the speaker's there, and it was like, I was scrambling as a leader trying to make up positions so people could still serve in the body of Christ. And it was a weird time for us, but it was a beautiful time, and it really is. It's changed so many ways and allowed us to do so many different things. One is we've got a building we can leverage it, and so things like Feeding America, that was an honor to be asked to do. I mean, they came to us, and when the government looks at you and says, hey, you are strategically located from a highway standpoint, you have a large parking lot, and you're one of the few places and organizations that actually have enough volunteers that could help us. That was a blessing. They were like, what do you think? And I'm like, we'll do it. I'm like, you want to pray about it? I'm like, no, we'll do it. Like, I've been praying for these, but I don't need to pray about anything else. Like, we're good. Like, let's do it. And so it's incredible. It really is being where we're at right now. We're back to 3 services. And God continues to bless us really in ways as we try to figure out ways to continue to bless the community and leverage what He's given us for other people, again, to help other people in any way that we possibly can.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We all went through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're out of this pandemic. If not, hopefully we're getting close.
Yeah.
We can see the light. how did that affect River Lake? I've heard so many. With the churches I was at, it affected it hard.
We were really blessed and fortunate. It hit us hard. We got really lucky for that first Easter. I don't know if you remember that first Easter, but
How do I?
yeah, it was crazy. And so every pastor was scrambling, figuring out how to be a televangelist in front of a camera at that first Easter. And but my wife and I had just got back from Israel. We had actually left Israel, I think 2 or 3 days before they locked the nation down. So we almost got stuck there. Which to me, I would have been okay if they stuck there.
Sure.
My wife would not have been. She'd have missed the kids. I wouldn't have. I'd have just sat on the beach and been awesome. But so we had flown over there to film a whole bunch of sermons, and it's God's grace. We actually leveraged those, and we didn't plan on doing that. I was gonna take some time off during the summer and do that, but we actually, when everybody else was kind of scrambling, trying to figure out what to show online, we had really well produced sermons that our videographer who'd flown over there with us did. And so for Easter, I don't know if you remember this, we actually took Easter home, and so we made, I think, 500 to 600 boxes. And it was Easter in a box, and we labeled them, and we put gifts in there. We put glasses, like we had nice custom glasses, communion cups, because that was a big issue back then. You couldn't find communion stuff. And we did this whole Easter in a box, and then we didn't tell anybody about this. We actually hand delivered them to all of our people. Wow. And surprised them a few days before. I think it was on Good Friday. And it was incredible. And then we opened up the community, and it was so cool because we had people coming from other churches going, hey, we heard you have you have church in a box, and we're like, yeah, we do. And so we gave those away, and we're able to bless so many people in doing that. And so I think probably maybe more than some other churches, it really caught us off guard, but we kind of had the cameras in place. We had the technology. We had some stuff. So we weren't scrambling as much as other churches, but man, and you get this, like, to go from I'm preaching to an audience and maybe referencing the camera to I'm preaching the camera. Man, that was hard.
Yeah.
It took me several weeks, and it was like, okay, this is weird. Like, no one was laughing at my jokes, and they were funny, dang it. And so it was like, man, you can't tell, like, I feed off a crowd. And so, so it took us several weeks, but, the crazy part, I heard somebody talking about this. Our finances didn't go down a bit. Our attendance obviously fell through the floor. We went from, I bet we lost probably, when people started coming back, I bet we lost probably 50% of our attendance. Wow. But our giving didn't. And I was listening to somebody, and they were talking about that, and they said the reason that is because the people that give show up, and the people that don't show up don't give. And so you can lose half your audience and still maintain your giving because it's just how it works. And so we saw that. We saw that play out, and so financially we were so blessed. And yet I will tell you, it's up until maybe 8 weeks ago that we're finally getting back to pre-pandemic numbers.
Fantastic.
And so it's taken a long time.
Sure.
And really, but we were just talking about this in our staff meeting, that we're finally back at that, like, kind of pre-pandemic numbers of what we did, and we feel like we're finally able to kind of move ahead, if that makes sense.
Ready to get back at it.
We're ready. We're ready. Yeah, because we have benchmarks and we have goals, and we're trying to reach people, and so
sure.
It's tough.
So you were talking about being prepared, not on purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not on purpose, but God's provision gave you that. We were very fortunate at the church I was at the time, a little bitty small country church, nothing like the size of River Lake. Y'all have more people standing in the lobby waiting on people than we had in the whole church. But we're both technology people.
Yeah.
We have both grounds in technology, so unsurprisingly to most people that's what happened. But we had been live streaming long before the pandemic at the little country church off cell phone internet. It was horrible, but it was working.
Something, yeah.
It was working. And I can remember taking calls from churches a whole lot bigger than ours. How in the world are y'all doing that out there? Yeah. Y'all are out in the middle of nowhere. You can't get there from here. But so we were helping, and that made us feel good. That we, as this little bitty church, it takes big churches and it takes little churches to spread the gospel. We're all the same church.
What's the body?
That's right. We're the body.
Parts.
That's right. And but it was so encouraging for us and that little church that we could help other people, just like you're talking about. But it was different. And me and I had a young teenager that helped me run the cameras at that time, and I had multiple cameras set up just like we do in here. Thank goodness, so I could actually still scan the audience.
Yeah.
And I seen some churches putting poster boards up with people's pictures on them, and I'm like, well, no, that's what they look like that anyway. Sometimes, no. But anyway, I told them that and they would laugh, but it was different.
Yeah.
And my poor little guy, that he was 12 or 13 at the time, and he's running my video for me because nobody else would come up there because they was afraid. He got the beating of all the sermons, So it's funny, but we look back and we laugh at it now.
Sure.
But oh, what a time for a reset.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to come out a whole lot better than what we started.
I think if we learn our lessons, I think the tension is what I've seen is several of the pastors I've talked to, they're talking about getting back though. They're talking about going back to, and it's like, there should be lessons learned. You shouldn't be going back to anything.
Right.
If that's your mindset, you're gonna, in a few years, you're gonna be really frustrated with where you've ended up. And so there's the mission, there's the method. The method should constantly be changing. The mission's the same, but the method. And so even as us, we tried to really have conversations around, okay, let's not go back. Let's not, as we kind of get back, let's make sure we don't go back to some old mindsets, some old models that really, and we forget what we learned. Because man, there's a lot of ministry that happened online. There's a lot of ministry that happened online, and it was proven, okay, you can do it. It's not ideal, but man, there's a lot of great things that can happen.
So many people out there, just like I was telling you about the lady a while ago, that can't get to church. Not that they don't want to go to church.
Yeah.
She's grown up. She's in her 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Always been in church. Now she can't get there. But if she had online ministry, she could at least still hear and see.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I was so frustrated during the middle of the pandemic, and I was, really it is, and I'll be very transparent and say that our numbers were down, and just as a pastor, that can get to me sometimes. I just, I know that's not the spiritual answer, and I shouldn't care, but I do sometimes, and I was wondering, are we making a difference, and does this matter, and can you do ministry online, and just all those questions. And I'll tell you, I came across a passage where Paul speaks, and it's one of those things like you read it a dozen times and it speaks different things. And it said, Paul writes and he says, though I'm absent in body, I'm present in spirit.
Yeah, that's it.
And God used that to really convict me and show me, Nick, Paul changed the world with the written word thousands of years ago. Mm-hmm. And if we can't leverage current technology, we're doing something really, really wrong. Like, we don't have to be present there. We don't have to be with them in physical body. We can do it with our spirits right, and if we've got the Spirit of God with us. And so it was so encouraging to me in that moment, and it really allowed us to kind of make that shift and go, okay, no, we're going to jump into this. Yeah. We're not going to wade into it and then wade back out. We're going to jump into this and go, no, this is the future. This is where we're going.
And I'm all for, and you are too. You want to see the people.
Absolutely, you can't replace it.
You're not. There's and I want people to understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not either or. It's both and.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What you can carry a box with one hand, but it's a whole lot easier to carry it with two. You can carry more weight with two. Yeah. And we have to work together. Yeah. And we'll get into the churches working together in a little bit, but technology is not a bad thing. No. It can be.
Well, sure.
But so can a lot of other things.
Anything. It's morally neutral. It's what you do with it.
Exactly. It's all about the mindset that you have with it. You can look up anything on the internet.
Sure.
Promise you. Sometimes accidental, sometimes on purpose. But if you want, people, and I hear this all the time, being a youth pastor before, I hear, and having kids just like you, mine are a little bit older than yours, but they always said, well, social media is going to be the downfall of the world. It could be, but so was the telephone.
Sure.
Party lines was the downfall of the world. That's where all the gossip started to feel, if the older people remember those. But if you take social media, just like we're doing tonight, just like we do each week at church, and you put good stuff in social media, then good stuff comes out of social media. The internet can be it's the greatest tool ever invented if it's used right. Sure. And I'm so thankful to see churches that aren't wanting to get away from that ministry. And that's a ministry in its own. It takes people to sit behind cameras. It takes people to edit footage. It takes people to run the music. And that's just the way it is. But you got to have people.
It's huge.
If you ain't got nobody there to do it,
Yeah.
then now you're treading water again. So to keep them involved, and when they get to where they can come back, they're going to want to come back because they see you, they see their neighbors, and they're talking about how great church was Sunday.
Sure.
You know, people like to go to places where it's great.
Yeah.
That's why we go to ball games, right?
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
some action.
No, it's different. No one's ever went to a concert and thought I could have watched it online and it would have been just the same.
Right.
No one's ever done that. Like it's a totally different experience. And watching them online, that's cool. But if the concert's good, you want to be there.
Exactly. The environment.
It's all about the environment.
I tell people all the time, like I said, my three boys, they grew up with me as their youth pastor.
Sure.
Poor things.
Yeah.
But when I first took over the job as youth pastor at Tipple Hill back in 2009, they always went to Winter Jam.
Sure.
I had never heard of Winter Jam. I was one of them kids, I didn't play loud music when I was a kid because I liked my hearing. And they were like, we're going. I'm like, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go because I got stuff I got to do. We had 5 kids in the youth group at that time.
Yeah.
Them 5 kids cornered me after Sunday school that morning. And they said, if you're going to be one of us, you're going to go with us. And this is 5 teenagers, and I'm 35 years
Sure.
old at this time, or whatever. So I looked at the lady that was helping me, and I said, I guess we're going to Winter Jam. So we got tickets, and we all went to Winter Jam. An older lady of the church at that time, she was in her mid-70s by then. She said, I'm going, I'll bring the earplugs, and we're going to have a good time. So we took people from the age of 9 to the age of 70-something to Winter Jam. Bridgestone Arena, 23,000 people there. About halfway through it, she looks at me and she hands me some earplugs. She says, you're going to need these for this next band coming out. She already knew them, and I'm like, how do you know this? So I'm sitting here, and I'm sitting at Winter Jam, and we're going through, and they start playing this music, and I put the earplugs in, and I could actually hear the words. Sometimes.
Sure. No, I've been to those concerts.
You've been to those concerts. Like, what are they singing?
The scream that it's loud.
But I put those earplugs in, and I could hear what they were saying. And here I'm sitting here. Everybody else is standing up. We're sitting right in front of the stage, up in the second tier. I'll never forget it. And Nick, I've never been anywhere where 23,000 people were all worshiping God. And I'm getting goosebumps right now remembering it. And we left there that night. Came back the next morning. The kids got up for Youth Sunday that morning, and they thanked the church for letting us go and different things. And I told them, I said, I talked to a lot of y'all before we went. I told you the story of what the kids told me, and the response I got from a lot of the older people was, done my time. I ain't gonna do that. And I get that, I guess, sometimes.
Sure.
And I'm like, let me tell you what. I said the same thing, but I'll never miss another one.
Yeah.
It was such a blessing.
No,
So powerful. And you watch the kids, and they reacted.
Yeah.
And that's where you're at right now.
Yeah.
You're in that, still 8 years old, you're still in the infancy of long term, but you're growing.
Yeah, we are.
And most churches can't say that right now.
Yeah, it's hard.
So, let's talk some more about the missions of River Lake.
Okay.
Some things y'all do. I know you do with the police department around Christmas time. You talked about Easter in the box, and you used to have the community egg hunt. That was a big thing, and of course people didn't like it because it blocked Happy Valley Road, but that's okay. It's okay. Some other things that River Lake does. Feeding America. I know you talked about that a little bit. Tell me some more.
Yeah, we do Feed America's probably our big one that we do monthly. We do a blood drive. Actually, it was today. We do a blood drive. We try to host that. That's a big deal, especially during the pandemic. They were looking for places and begging for people to do that, and so we do that. We do a Halloween event called Candy Jam.
Yes.
That the police department are amazing, and put up with us when it comes to that, because it's a traffic nightmare, and we're working on that, I promise. I really do. What an incredible problem to have, though. It's like so many people are coming, we shut down the traffic. But we do Let Hope In, which is kind of the police event, but every year I'm pretty passionate about this initiative we call Let Hope In, which is we try to figure out creative ways to just bless people randomly. And so one of those is with the police department. We partner with them. I love our police department. They are incredible and have such a hard job right now.
Absolutely.
And really appreciate them so much. And so we partner with them to give away the $100 bills and stuff. But we've Let Hope In. We've given cars away. We do. My favorite thing probably is Big Tip Night, where I tell our church, if you're not willing to leave a 3-digit tip, stay home. And every time someone's like, that's a lot of money, I'm like, then stay home. Well, I don't have enough for my food and my tip, then order water. Like, I don't care. Like, I think radical generosity. People do not understand the gospel, but they do understand generosity. And for me, one of the things that we try to do, even as a church, all these initiatives, is figure out how do we display generosity, because people get that. They understand that. They may not get the gospel, they may not get Jesus, but again, we want them to see something different. And so as a church, it's probably a little different than a lot of churches, but from day one, we tithe. And so 10%, I never ask people to do something I'm not willing both personally and professionally and corporately to do. And so we take 10% of whatever we get, doesn't matter what it is, and we give it away. And some of that is giving away to the community, giving away, doing different things. And so Let Hope In is a big one that we do. Those are probably the big ones. Those are the big three that we do. We've done shoe giveaways. We dropped, I don't remember how many hundreds of shoes we bought, but we partnered with local shoe carnival, I think maybe, something like that. But we partnered with them and bought a whole bunch of shoes for kids. And it's different. We try not to do the same thing, actually. That's kind of our big deal is, and I'm sure you've seen this, is like so many churches get in ruts, and what's new becomes the sacred cow that you don't touch, and it's like, and so for me, it's if we do something over 3 or 4 years, I just want to kill it, even if it's great, just kill it. And we did that with Canna Jam a couple of years ago. We just killed it, said no, we're not gonna do it, and then we brought it back, and it was great.
Sort of like the McRib.
Absolutely, exactly. I've never phrased it like that, but yes. At our next staff meeting, that'll be my illustration. Who likes the McRib?
Right, exactly.
Here's why. We're gonna kill it. So,
right.
But no, it really is. It's. We want to make sure that what we do is going to have an impact. It's not about just we've always done it. Right. It's what excites us. And if it doesn't excite us, we're not gonna do it. And so. Yeah, so it's kind of what we do.
But if you can't get, like just we said, if you can't get excited about the mission,
yeah,
why is anybody else going to get excited?
Exactly.
And that's what and that's kind of what I told the church yesterday. I said, and I used my mom and dad as an example. They were in the crowd, and I heard about that after the service, but that's all right. I said, my mom loves to read. She's got books out the wazoo, and I said, but when she reads those books, if she reads the Bible the same way she does those books, then she's not reading the Bible.
Sure.
Because the Bible should be alive.
Yeah.
And it should stir you. And if what you're doing to serve God is not stirring you,
sure.
then is it God leading you?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. And it sounds like that's what River Lake's philosophy is with what you're trying to do. And that's fantastic.
Yeah.
When you go to church, you were talking about people getting there at 6 a.m. and throwing it all together. And what do you do with all your free time now? You just go after
it's crazy. We've got 3 services now, and so I'm still getting there at 6:15 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, and we have different problems. I'll put it that way.
That's a good problem to have.
It's a wonderful problem.
Absolutely. So tell us when the services are.
Yeah.
If you don't know where River Lake is, it's at the intersection of North Jackson Highway and the Outer Loop.
Yep.
The old glass plating, the old drive-in theater location for you old people like me.
Sure.
But tell us when your services are. When can we come and join you at River Lake?
Yeah. So we have 3 services: 8:15, 9:45, and 11:15. They last pretty much about an hour. and they're somewhat loud. So we offer earplugs. On a side note, we do. People use them, so it's a little loud. And every now and then somebody will walk out and be like, "That was like a rock concert." And depending on who it was, it's either a compliment or an insult. We're not sure, but
Sure.
Yeah, we have 3 services. They're about an hour. We'd love to have you. Yeah.
Any other nights of the week? Anything going on at River Lake?
No.
During the week?
So actually, that's we get asked that all the time. Not right now. Our philosophy is keep it simple.
Sure.
And so I grew up in churches that I think wanted to make you busy, not necessarily godly. And so and I saw that. I saw what that is. And so we have small groups throughout the week, but we have some Bible studies that you can come to. But as far as a
Sure.
public like Wednesday night program, no.
Okay.
Yeah, just Sunday mornings.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's it. So keep it
The
simple.
Bible don't give us no time that we got to have set services every week.
Nope.
Every time's a time with God.
Yeah.
Our final question, I guess you could say, and this we can talk as long as we want to about this because this is super important to you. It's super important to me. We kind of talked about it a little bit off the air. How can the church, not the churches,
Sure.
but the church, work together
Oh gosh.
and spread the gospel?
Yeah. Gosh.
I know. Best for last, right here.
Yeah, that's I think it takes, and I've actually been praying through and working on this question, and really trying to build a relationship with our pastors because I think it is a competition. I think it's such unfortunately we let what I would argue is stupid garbage get in our way, and even when we want to work together, it's who's in charge and who's running it, and it's petty stuff. And I think how it will happen is when you have enough pastors who are willing to humble themselves and be more focused on getting mission done than elevating their ministry. And I think that's the challenge. Is if and I'll put myself in that kind of deal. What I see disjointedness in the church. I don't see a common mission, a common vision. Because what we're passionate about isn't what other churches are passionate about, and vice versa. And so we're passionate about really helping, especially when it comes to food and things like that. I know the church in town. I don't know the pastor very well, but I've heard great things about him. He's passionate about homelessness, and it's incredible. And but I really think when we can humble ourselves and kind of go, we're on the same team. There's pastors I pray for every single day. I've got about 13 of them, and really mean it. But I think that the challenge is, man, it's tough. We've all got our different missions and different visions and what we want to do, and I think it'll take a leader who can rally everybody and get focused on that one thing, and do that. And move past denominations.
How another great sign of how we as humans have messed up something really easy.
Yeah,
Jesus told us in 2 verses what he wanted us to do.
Yeah.
Work together and love one another.
Yeah.
And here we are, like you said, the disjointedness is really overtaking.
Yeah, those denominational lines really mess things up.
Yes,
That's why we're non-denominational. I don't want to play that game. I don't care. We got a few things that we hold very sacred. Who's Jesus? What's the Word of God to you is in there, and things like that. What's the Trinity? We got a few things we hold very, but the rest of it is, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. We can bicker about that in heaven, and I'll be right and you'll be wrong, and that's okay. But just kidding. But
humble.
Yeah, I struggle with that every now and then. I owned that, okay? But I think it's those denominational lines. I think the problem is a lot of churches don't want to work together. I heard somebody say the other day, I've been processing this, and I'm going to be preaching on this in the next year probably, but that men, and most pastors are men. That's a whole theological issue I don't want to get into, but let's just say men in general. Men are designed to either build or destroy. And if you're not building something, you're destroying something.
Yeah.
And I've thought quite a bit about that. And I think it's so easy for men to tear down other organizations and other churches and other denominations and other places of worship and other pastors, especially when jealousy comes out or whatever, instead of building them up. And because, what the guy said was, he said, it's easy to tear down a house, it's really hard to build one.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, think about it. You just grab a sledgehammer, walk in the house, tear it down. I was like, that was easy.
Destruction.
No, yeah, it takes zero skill
Right.
to destroy a house. And I think it takes zero skill. And I think what we have is, man, I'm just going to be brutally honest. I don't know how else to do this. Here's what I would say. Gosh, this may need to be edited out. I don't know. But
Oh, no, we don't edit live TV.
crap. Okay, so
Yes.
hopefully I can say crap. I think it's a vision issue. And so when pastors and leaders don't have a clear vision of what they're building, what happens is we want to tear things down. And I see that a lot with other pastors, with other leaders, with other men. And so, when somebody tries to tear us down or our church, we get that a lot, and they don't understand what we're doing or why we're doing. I mean, one of my favorite comments was somebody called us Six Flags over Jesus. I preached a whole sermon on that. It was amazing. And I took it as a compliment. I was like, yes. But I just, my first thought is, well, okay, it's easy. What's your vision? What are you building? Because, it's hard. So I think that vision, what are we building together? You got to figure that out. That's hard.
Oh, yeah, it's very hard. And as we talked about, I've had people ask me, why do you do this show?
Sure.
It's to let people see people just like you.
Sure.
People,
I don't know if this was helpful at all, actually.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
But either River Lake will explode or but oh well. But it doesn't matter whether it's 1,100 people in the congregation or whether it's 12.
Sure.
We are here to highlight God and highlight people's ambition to serve God. It's nothing to do with us, because we could do it on our own if we wanted to. We don't. We want to bring other churches in and let people know, hey, this may not be the church for you, but here's an option.
Yeah.
This may be where you fit in better. Who knows? I don't know. You don't know. We can only pray that what we're doing is sowing a seed for somebody out there that may not hear. You started in a restaurant. Ain't many people go to those places and expect to find Jesus.
That's absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
No, it's true.
And that's what I want this to be. We're not dressed up. We're not in suits and ties. We're not standing.
I'm dressed up.
Oh yeah, you're
this is as
wild.
nice as I get it.
Very
Actually,
well. I put my Hawaiian shirt on for you tonight that I bought in Kentucky.
There you go.
But when we started this, I wanted a nice, cozy environment so people could be comfortable.
Sure.
I told them at church the other day, we don't need to be comfortable at church though. We need to be safe.
Sure.
But we don't need to be comfortable, because if we're comfortable at church, then we're not doing the mission. The Holy Spirit's not speaking. It's not driving us crazy, wanting us to do something. But in an environment like this, I want people to be relaxed, and I want people to be truthful and honest. And if more people would teach the truth of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and there's one word that describes that completely, and that's L-O-V-E, love. For you people that believe that there's only one translation of the Bible, in that translation their word is charity. Yeah. In the world we think of charity as giving away. Kind of goes hand in hand. Yeah. Nick, you've been such a blessing to a lot of people. Not just you, but your ministry, your church.
We have great people.
You do have great people. I know a lot of people that go to your church.
Yeah.
And all I hear is great things. One of these days, I'm going to sneak in and visit.
You should.
I'm going to grab the earplugs though.
Okay, you should.
Because I'm old anyway.
It's going to get loud.
That's all right though. But what I love the most is your passion.
Yeah.
I seen that from day one. The first time I met you, 10 years ago, whatever it was, 9 years ago. And even today. And we all have struggles.
Sure.
You said yourself, you get frustrated.
Oh.
We have, the last few years have been rough on our family, but people look at us and they say, well, how did you do it? I said, well, I didn't do it. Jesus is what done it for me.
Sure.
I didn't do it. If I'd have done it, I'd have been that destructive person if I'd have done it on my own. I'm so thankful to see men just like you who aren't afraid to speak honestly. And sometimes brutal.
Sometimes.
That's okay.
I'm working on it.
That's okay. Well,
Working on filters.
But you know what? You got to be that. We got to be just like children.
Yeah.
You know, children say the darndest things,
Sure.
but they're honest
Yeah.
because they don't know no different. And then if we can get back to that mentality, tell people what we love about Jesus.
Yeah.
Tell people what he's done. You know, you said, well, you can't remember a time in your life
Yeah, that's great.
that you didn't walk with Christ. Now, was you walking in the right spot?
I said felt the presence of God, actually.
Okay, well, that's all right.
A lot of times in life I wasn't walking with God.
Yeah,
Well,
well, no,
seasons of my life.
You were walking with God.
Yeah.
You just wasn't where he
Yeah.
wanted you to be.
I was walking away. He was grabbing me.
But we all do that. And I tell people all the time, I took Jesus a lot of places he probably didn't want to go at
Sure.
that time. But he was still there.
Yeah.
He never stopped loving me. One last thing before we close, and you probably don't even remember it, you might remember it. I can remember 2013 or 14. I received a letter in the mail from River Lake Church. Actually, it had your name on it, so you may let her know. Your people may have contacted my people. I don't know, but anyway, you know. But I got a letter in the mail, and it was strictly an encouraging letter that I'll never forget. I had that until we lost stuff in a house fire.
Wow.
In that letter, there was a gift in that letter.
Yeah, no, I do remember that.
That gift meant a lot, but that wasn't what meant more. It was knowing that another pastor.
Yeah. It was Christmas time, wasn't it?
I think so.
No, I remember it actually.
Yeah, there you
No.
go. So, but I can remember that like it was yesterday. And we need more of that.
That's that goes back to that unity thing, and that's what I'm passionate about, especially bivocational pastors.
Absolutely.
I mean, I just tell people all the time, it's easy what I do. Like I get paid full time. I get, I have a good friend of mine. I won't say his name, but he's a really good friend of mine, and he's bivocational. And I tell him all the time, I don't know how he does it. He's got a great church. He's killing it. He's flat out killing it, and they're growing, and yet he's got a full time job, and so. So yeah, I do remember that letter, actually. I remember walking through that, and I'm glad it worked.
It did. It did. But like I said, and this is where I'm going to distinguish pastors from everybody else. We have to do a better job of communicating to our fellow pastors and reaching out to our fellow pastors because they're struggling right now. They just went through a pandemic.
It's hard.
And some of them aren't going to survive at the place they're at because the pandemic's overtook it. And they're struggling. And just a little bit of hope. As you said, let hope, what a great name. But we got to continue to do that. And I'm so thankful that our friendship has lasted. You know, we don't go hang out every day.
Sure.
You know, it's been a few weeks since I've seen you. I probably met you somewhere and didn't even get to talk to you. But knowing that your love for Christ and my love for Christ are we're right there.
Yeah.
I won't say we're on the same level because I will hope I can
Probably
get
much
I
higher
know,
than
I don't think so, buddy. I told you a while ago.
Yeah.
But the attitude is the same.
Yeah.
Help, love, and spread the gospel. What a blessing you are, Nick. Before we go, visit River Lake. That's all I can say. Visit River Lake. We're going to visit River Lake one Sunday. I promise you. I guess that's been the fortunate part when I haven't been at a church. I've got to see different churches and met a lot of good people that I never got to do. So we'll show up at River Lake one Sunday. So hopefully you're feeding us. No.
We'll see. Depends on the Sunday.
That's right. No, but anyway, no, what a great opportunity. Before you go, we're going to pray.
Cool.
For you, your wife.
Thank you.
And she's, we ain't talking much about the young lady.
And she's incredible.
She has to be.
She does. She puts up with me. It's nuts.
5 kids and you.
I'm high maintenance. Okay, listen. I tell people all the time. She's low maintenance. I am like way up here. It's crazy.
It's crazy, but what a great lady, and it takes. Pastors get all the credit.
They do.
The pastor's wives, they don't realize what job they play in your ministry, the church's ministry. What would we do without them?
Yeah, I tell people all the time, she's my rock.
Sure.
I'm nothing.
Sure.
Really it is. She's my safe space. She's everything.
You know when you're around her, it's all going to be okay. That's right. And what a blessing that is. Your 5 kids growing like weeds.
They are,
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
About time for another one, right?
No, we're done. No, we're done.
God gave you your basketball
Yeah,
team. You're done. I got you.
We're done.
So we're going to pray for Brother Nick or Pastor Nick and River Lake, his family, our community.
Yeah.
Everybody work together.
Yeah.
If we can't say nothing else, if y'all don't get nothing else out of any of these shows we do each week, I hope the theme is the same: love and help.
Yeah.
Let's pray. Father God, thank you for this day. Thank you for Pastor Nick and his family. Thank you for River Lake Church and their mission to serve you. Father, we all as we've talked tonight, a lot of different views cloud people's visions of what we really need to accomplish. But Father, I'm so thankful that people like Pastor Nick and the leadership team at River Lake have a clear vision of where they're going and where they want to be, because you have showed them. They have listened, they've obeyed, and they've humbled themselves to serve you in a way that we can only hope and pray that most churches do. Father, we ask you to be with them. Let them continue to serve you in the best way that they know how, Father. That you'll continue to rain your blessings upon their members, anybody that comes into contact with them. We ask you to pray. We ask you to give them the strength, the courage, the boldness to do exactly what you would have them to do at the time you would have them to do it. Father, we're so thankful for the friendships that are built, the camaraderie that we can come and sit and just talk openly about you. Father, that we can open up to each other and encourage each other, lift each other up, and if we need to cry on a shoulder, that we're not afraid to do that either. And Father, we're so thankful for people like Nick and River Lake and all the other churches out there that we'll continue to highlight in these series as we go forward. Father, lead us, guide us, and direct us. Forgive us where we fail you, and we all do every day, but we know you still love us anyway. And we'll give you the praise and glory for it all. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us. Nick, what a pleasure.
Thank you
Come
so
back and
much.
see us sometime.
Absolutely.
We'll get together. But we might go have some health food.
There you go. Let's get some health food.
That's right. Thank you for watching tonight. Pastor Nick at River Lake. Go visit them. 3 services on Sunday morning, 8:15, 9:15, 11.
8:15, 9:45, 11:15.
You see, I done messed that up.
That's okay.
8:15, 9:45, and 11.
Fit you in either way.
Yeah, there you go. We'll get you. Come visit them. You'll leave with a blessing if you come expecting one. For Pastor Nick, I'm Pastor Michael. Thank you for visiting us tonight. Thank you for joining us. Come back and visit us next Monday night as we do Fireside Chats with Pastor Mike. Thank you. May God continue to richly bless you and your beautiful family.